Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Mrs. Loeffler, welcome. As part of my responsibility as a member of this committee, as well as all the other committees on which I sit, I ask the following two initial questions of all nominees who come before any of my committees. So I'll ask you, since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
During the pandemic, you opposed Planned Parenthood health centers receiving PPP loans for ideological reasons, even though, like other nonprofits, they were eligible for loans, as later determined by SBA's own Inspector General. Last week, the president fired the IG without proper notice as required by law. And it's clear that President Trump believes he can do whatever he wants. As the administrator, should you be confirmed, would you commit to implementing SBA programs in a fair and impartial manner?
Senator Hirono, let me first say I hope that we could be able to meet. I requested several meetings. I keep the people of Maui in my prayers. I know that they're still struggling through the disaster that occurred about 18 months ago, and I hope that we can work together. But let me correct, with all due respect, the premise of both premises of your question. I objected to the Planned Parenthood receipt of COVID relief loans because they did not fit the parameters of the
Actually, Ms.
program
Loeffler,
because of the affiliation
you do know
requirements.
that the IG said, took a contrary position. So all I'm asking is whether you can be fair and impartial in being the administrator of SBA, a very important position, as you say. There are so many small businesses throughout our country. So just a simple affirmation that you can do so is what I'm asking.
Senator, I will faithfully uphold all of the laws and ethics rules.
Well, the thing is that, as I mentioned with President Trump, the laws that he likes are the ones he likes, and then the ones he doesn't like, he considers them to be illegal, but I will move on. As a senator, you co-sponsored the resolution recognizing Ryan Sicknick, the U.S. Capitol Police officer who was brutally attacked during the January 6th insurrection and who later died. As a result, last week the president issued blanket pardons for the January 6th insurrectionists, including those responsible for attacking Officer Sicknick. Do you agree with the president's decision to pardon these violent offenders? Yes or no?
Yes, Senator, I strongly support President's pardon. These individuals were denied due process, and it's time to get past political persecution in this country. That's what Americans voted for.
Mrs. Loeffler, they were not denied due process because they were tried and found guilty, and some of them even admitted their guilt. So I am disappointed that you agree that these violent, basically criminals, should be pardoned. Then we get to the Lahaina wildfire. In 2023, Lahaina experienced wildfires that devastated the entire community, including schools, homes, businesses, and more. Key to that recovery, their recovery, has been what I've described as the federal family of agencies, which of course includes FEMA and SBA. Last week, the president proposed eliminating FEMA, and he said, quote, "Let the states take care of the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all of the other things that happen," end quote. So I have seen the devastation in Lahaina and the role FEMA and SBA played in the recovery. The SBA itself provided hundreds of millions of dollars in loans to help Lahaina recover. It would be a huge mistake to eliminate SBA's role in disaster response and relief and have states fend for themselves. Do you agree with the president's recent comments that states should be left to fend for themselves during and after natural disasters? That's another yes or no question.
Senator, I disagree with the premise. The president strongly supports disaster relief. He was on the ground just last week in North Carolina.
Well, unfortunately,
and California.
he also said
I also
that
mentioned
states-
Hawaii in my opening remarks, that we do support the continued relief there.
So you support the continuing involvement of the SBA in recovery?
Yeah, and the president's been clear that
Thank you.
individual assistance will not be paused.
I'm glad you do, and that you support the continuing important role of SBA. You know, when you were running for U.S. Senate, time flies.
Yes, the senator's
So,
time
I-
has expired.
I think, are you having a second round?
We can do a second round, yes, Senator
If not,
Hirono.
I'll certainly submit questions for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hirono.